Uhuru, and welcome to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement live web show. Woo! I am your host tonight, Carly Spurlock. I really want to welcome you all and appreciate you all for tuning in tonight for Vegans for Reparations. This is our monthly web show to give you the most cutting-edge analysis of social issues with the theory of African internationalism. And tonight, we're giving you an African internationalist analysis of veganism. So tonight, we also want to raise reparations to the Black Power Blueprint, Black economic development projects across the country, which are building rapidly right now in St. Louis, Missouri. So the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the mass front of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which is a constituent organization of the African People's Socialist Party, which extends the struggle for Black liberation into the white community through building a mass movement for white reparations to African people. And I really want to start by saluting the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Woo! And also, of course, Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela. And their vision for a liberated Black power future has won us in the white community to see our true interests in unity with African people struggling to end all forms of oppression. Yes. We have a really fantastic program lined up for tonight. I'm super excited. This event is called Beyond White Veganism, Vegans for Reparations, with our vegan and vegetarian friends in the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, Jackson Hollingsworth from right here in St. Pete, Florida.
Uhuru, thank you for having us.
And also Casey Mackey visiting with me from St. Louis, Missouri.
Uhuru. Great to be here.
So why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about veganism? Well, the whole question of veganism is really important right now because veganism is just becoming extremely mainstream. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who might not know, a vegan is a person who doesn't consume any animal products. So no eggs, dairy, meat, fish, honey, and some vegans don't even use like leather products because they're an animal product. And today, veganism is an extremely profitable industry, and according to Forbes magazine, they estimate that the vegan industry is going to be worth $4 billion by 2024. And we see more and more white people becoming vegan, and there are cultures who have always embraced vegetarianism and veganism, and a lot of African people in the US are also becoming vegan. And so before we actually start the interview, I do want to say that this is a fundraiser, and we all want you to know that our goal tonight is to raise $1,000 to the Black Power Blueprint tonight. So throughout the web show, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to contribute. So the Black Power Blueprint is a self-determination program of Black Star Industries and the African People's Education and Defense Fund. And it is building economic and political power in the hands of the African working class. And it is headquartered at the Uhuru House at 4101 West Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. And we already have some donations. Several people knew that the web show was coming up. They knew they wanted to tune in and contribute. So they already made their pledges tonight. So I really want to salute those people who donate already, including Jamie Simpson, who's from right here in St. Pete, Florida. Woo!
Jamie!
He would be here tonight, but I believe he is on vacation with his family. But we thank you, Jamie, for your $10. And I also want to salute Ron Hudson and Jesse Call, both from Seattle, who both gave $25 tonight. Ben Rosenzweig, who is in our live studio audience tonight, who pledged $5. Uhuru, Ben. Jesse Neville, the chair of USM, who is also in our live studio audience tonight, who pledged $25. Uhuru, Jesse. Penny Hess, the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, who pledged $20 tonight. Uhuru, Penny. KC, one of our speakers, pledged $10. Uhuru, KC.
Uhuru.
Lisa Watson, Dan Tans, and their beautiful children who are in our live studio audience as well, pledged $100. I am pledging $10 tonight, and thank you. And a very, very special shout out to our comrade in Louisville, Virginia Wilson, who pledged $200 tonight. Oh,
Virginia! And we have the thermometer that shows how much we've raised, and so we want to fill it tonight with the marker.
Absolutely. So with all of that right now, we are currently at $430 raised already, and we just got started. So that means we only have $570 more to go. So we can do it. So please go to blackpowerblueprint.org anytime during the show or afterwards to contribute so that we can make it all the way up to the top of the thermometer. So where is this money actually going? What is this going to do? With your support over the past 2 years, this project, the Black Power Blueprint, under the leadership of Deputy Chair Onezene Shatella in St. Louis, transformed a nearly condemned building to a state-of-the-art, beautiful Uhuru House Community Center in St. Louis in under 10 months. And using the St. Louis Land Reutilization Authority, the LRA, which sells abandoned properties on the north side of St. Louis. The African People's Education and Defense Fund acquired and demolished another vacant, decrepit property on College Avenue in St. Louis. The land has been cleared of debris for a community basketball court and outdoor health program. This is super exciting. And so on the screen, you should be able to see the building and what it used to look like. And then the whole demolition project that was done by Jath Construction Company, who we've been working with, and they're absolutely incredible African construction company. And so on this huge demolition day, Black Power Blueprint volunteers, including members of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and other Northside residents and neighbors, came out to live stream the demolition and to celebrate this huge historic event. And so after the demolition was over, it was left with, a giant pile of wood and bricks and dirt and dust. But then they cleared all of that out, and it became just an empty lot of dirt. And then they put straw over it. And then, so now you drive past or you walk past and you can see this totally clear lot, and you can see the vision of the basketball court for, kids or adults in the neighborhood. Yeah. And it's been amazing to get to watch this whole transformation right in front of our eyes. And so another aspect of the project is the marketplace and garden. So a landscape Education and Defense Fund has submitted a plan for the Africa One Nation Marketplace and Gary Brooks Community Garden, which is right across the house where the movement demolished 2 other totally decrepit buildings. And Gary Brooks is the African man who lives just to the side of the garden in the marketplace. And he's been a huge part of this project from the get-go. And we really, really salute and appreciate Gary Brooks for all of his work with this. And recently we had a couple of volunteer work days for the garden and marketplace. And a bunch of us were out there and we were picking up trash, and we cleared away a dead tree and a whole bunch of dirt and rocks and this really gross pond thing. And we replanted a peach tree We moved a bunch of concrete slabs. It was a lot of work, but it was really great to be out there with people such as Ticharwa Masimba, who is the Economic Development Director of the Black Power Blueprint. Also, Deputy Chair Ona Zenea Shatella was there. Kitty, Chandala, Grady, and not pictured here would be me. I was there, and also KC and another volunteer named Nkosi was there. And so really salute all of you for all of your really hard work. And once that was done, then Jath Construction was able to come and grade the lot and smooth it all over so that it's ready to now be paved with sidewalk and the stage area. It's incredible. It's really incredible to get to see that. And so those of you who are tuning in from St. Louis might understand, but so what is the context that all of this is happening in St. Louis? So St. Louis has 25,000 abandoned properties in the city, mostly concentrated in the north side, in the African community. And these are eyesores that have just been left to rot by imperialism and white power, where there was once a thriving Black community. They had things like movie theaters and a boxing ring and dance clubs. And now, you drive through the north side and you just see all of these abandoned buildings that are just crumbling. And we know that 60% of the Black community in St. Louis is living in poverty, and 30% of the Black community in St. Louis is living in very, very deep poverty, living on less than $5 a day. And the Black Power Blueprint is led by that community themselves to seize political power and economic self-reliance. And so your support makes all of this possible, along with all of our amazing volunteers and our contractors who have been very, very generous in giving, really great discounts to the project. And so, again, tonight we are committed to raising $1,000 for this incredibly important project. And we are calling on white people specifically to contribute as reparations tonight. So once again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to donate this evening. So, Uhuru, KC, and Jackson, really, really excited to have you both on the web show tonight. So my first question for you is, how did you meet the Uhuru movement?
Do you want to start?
Either way? All right.
Go for it.
Uhuru. Well, first, I really want to appreciate, the opportunity to be on here. Thank you so much, Carly. And first, I want to salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party, who created the theory of African internationalism, and as well as Deputy Chair Ona Zenea Shatella, as Carly said, leading all of the economic work for the party, including the Black Power Blueprint. Chairwoman Penny Hess of the African People's Solidarity, who is a white vegan woman, but most importantly, a white person who is under the leadership of the African Revolution and organizing, white people like us, our leadership in the Solidarity Movement to raise reparations. So really want to salute my leadership and Chair Jesse Neville as well of Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And so I joined the Uhuru Solidarity Movement after I was on Twitter and social media and blogging all the hashtag activism things, especially after Ferguson, wanted to do something. And I thought that hashtagging was the best way to do that. But I was following a lot of different activists and organizations, and someone on Twitter shared something from the Uhuru movement, and it just completely stood out. What is this? And I started watching all of the Uhuru movement videos, all of the Sunday rally live streams, the videos of the chairman and Chairman Penny talking about various topics, found the movement websites, read all of everything on all of the websites that I could, burning spear, that it's right here, our hard copy that I didn't have at that time, but now I do. and realized that this is where I need to be, that all of the social ills that I was seeing in the world and wanted to do something about but didn't quite know what to do, I knew what to do now, and how to address everything at its core, not just police brutality, but also healthcare system, abuse of animals, literally everything. And to see that it's all one battle against parasitic capitalist colonialism that can only be overthrown through African liberation, because that is what the foundation is that rests on. So that's how I found the movement, social media, and was very happy to and actually join.
Uhuru, as the recently appointed USM social media coordinator, it's really exciting to see that it's this important tool where people find the movement. And I actually found the movement when I was working at a vegetarian diner, which is kind of irrelevant but also kind of pertinent to the web show. And I was working with someone that actually joined the African People's Socialist Party. And we'd been having conversations. She'd been reading this book called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And for a long time, I had, ever since I was little, I knew that something was wrong. I lived in, a well-to-do white neighborhood, and it surrounded a deeply impoverished apartment complex where I saw, Black and brown children that had nothing. And I always wondered, like, why do I have everything? I had a basketball hoop, and they would come and play on it because I just saw the two realities really early. But I still, just went through life living the white life that imperialism and capitalism just tells us, just get a good job and make money and get a family so you can go on vacation and just do that until life is over. Mm-hmm. And but in college, I started to question why cannabis was illegal. So I joined Students for Sensible Drug Policy. And from there, I learned about the war on drugs and the history of it actually being a war on the Black community. And I started seeing documentaries about how in the 80s, the criminalization of drugs happened, but also at the same time, the US government was pouring crack cocaine into the Black community. And even before that, this was right after they crushed the Black Revolution of the 60s when there was the Black Panther Party and Malcolm X. And I started to really question the whole history of this country I was living in the US government. And then I, got involved in different student groups, Students for Justice in Palestine. I got involved in the animal rights group and became vegetarian and then vegan. And I was just doing addressing all these different symptoms and kind of going all over the place. And then I was working at Veggie Galaxy when Mike Brown was murdered. And I saw the Ferguson Rebellion happen. I started seeing the hashtag, Black Lives Matter, and I started going to protests. And I really wanted to do something real. I was extremely disturbed at seeing the murder of African children. And the member at the time of the African People's Socialist Party sort of, saw that I was wanting to do something as a white person and started posting things on my wall, my Facebook page, Uhuru Solidarity Movement articles, because she saw that the party had a solidarity movement. And there was this one article, and it was like, white people must stand for white solidarity with Black power. And I was like, I thought I was already doing that, and just got really defensive. And, but then I actually read the article and went through a very challenging transformation. And it was the first time I'd seen the phrase white solidarity with Black power. And I was like, why haven't I seen that anywhere else? That's the war cry of all white people. And then I saw all white people owe reparations. And I was like, that makes so much more sense than calling it white privilege. Like, we have everyone else's stuff. We have the power in society. Like, it's not a privilege to live at the expense of other people. And so I started, I joined, I went to the website and I became a member. And I was contacted by the chair of the Reparations Challenge campaign at the time, Wendy Craig. And I threw a dance part. I was a DJ and I still am. And I threw a party called Club Reparations and participated in the Reparations Challenge campaign. And I just remember, like, the more I learned, the more I was like, this is the right place to be, because it was the only organization that was created by African people for white people to organize other white people to take responsibility, and be accountable to oppressed people. And nowhere else did I see that. And that's what I'd been looking for. So through my work in Boston doing the Reparations Challenge, eventually I got asked by the party to move to St. Louis, where there's the Black Power Blueprint, where I met you. You joined. So now we're here. So, Uhuru.
Now we're here. Those are both really beautiful stories. And so then when and why did you both become vegetarian or vegan?
Can I start this one? Okay, so I just want to start off by saying that I am really offended by white people that would take veganism and make it a whole politic when we live in a social system based on the genocide against the indigenous people and the enslavement of African people. And, that's what Europe and America and capitalism and the whole white population was built off of, is the looting and stealing of colonizing people all across the world to steal their resources, steal their land. In the case of African people, actually steal them and force them to build this country and this system for free for hundreds of years under the most severe torture and violence that the world had ever seen. And now we have a situation where 80% of the world doesn't have access to clean water or control of their own food and, live on less than $10 a day. And some live on less than $5 or $2 a day. And so for a white person who has access to these stolen resources to go out and tell that everyone should be vegan and make it this politic about the morals of like what you eat is, not the pathway for white people. And that's what this web show is about. And that there's a quote from the chairman in the recent article of The Burning Spear, where he talks about the problem's not racism, but colonialism, and how white people live on the stolen resources of colonized people. And we have this parasitic relationship. And so he says, you've got Steve Jobs and all these people have extraordinary riches and are noted around the world, but it's Africans in Congo who paid the price for that, just as we paid the price for everything they've got. A white person anywhere on earth opens a refrigerator, that's my food they're looking at. I mean, I open my fridge and I see vegan butter like Earth Balance, and that has come from destroying, ecosystems in in South America to build palm oil plantations. And so, there's nothing inherently revolutionary about just being vegan and making a lifestyle choice. And so it has to be secondary to reparations to African people in the struggle to control all their stolen resources and bring them back and to benefit their own communities and their own children. And also that, it's not inherently revolutionary, and that I did become vegan because I saw videos of animals being tortured in factory farms, and I was extremely disturbed and didn't want a relationship to that. But the reality is that regardless of our lifestyle choice, like we still have a relationship to it because the system is going to keep doing that because that is capitalism. And that as a white person, no matter what I'm eating, I still have a relationship to the oppression of African people. I have seen, I became vegan because I was opposed to what I saw was the oppression of animals, and that I also wanted to be healthier. And that, our chairwoman Penny Hess, who's in the African People Solidarity Committee, talked about how she actually overcame her asthma once she became vegan. And that the Uhuru Bakery, I think in Oakland in the 80s, it wasn't exclusively vegan, but they had an all vegan menu. So the Uhuru movement was always on the forefront of this. And I do believe that there is true healing in the food that we eat. And I reject the American imperialist diet of excess oil and meat and dairy and, all this stuff that is a poison to us. But yeah, that is basically why I became vegan, Uhuru.
That was very powerful, and I completely unite with everything that Casey just said. I watched, vegan documentaries and read vegan blogs, and I joined, like Casey, for all of the reasons for health, for wanting to stand against factory farming, for the environment, for all of the reasons that we white people become vegan. And I was very vocal about it at first, but recognized, early on that, not only is it white nationalists to demand that oppressed, colonized, forcibly starved African and other colonized people become vegan, but that there's an entire social system that makes the oppression and killing of people, of animals, poisoning the environment possible, like Casey said. And, I want to do something to oppose and overturn this whole system that and address the root of the problem. And I was really overjoyed to, find the movement that has the answers and how we can do that and create the world that we want to live in. So totally unite with that. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you both. Those are fantastic answers. That really sums it up really well. But I want to pause right there and thank some more of our donors. So, get that marker ready. Ali Ayello pledged $10 tonight. Uhuru, Ali. Santosh, who is a part of our live studio audience, gave $15. Uhuru. Janice Kant donated $50 this evening. Uhuru. David rolled $10. Yes, thank you, David. Thank you, David. And so our total now is $520 with $480 remaining. So again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to contribute so that we can make it keep moving all the way up to our $1,000 goal. So my next question, so a lot of people are vegan because of what this system does to animals, as you were just, getting at a second ago. And we are going to play a clip of what can happen to a lot of animals on factory farms.
It's very gruesome.
It is.
So just be warned, but it is the reality. Yeah. We have kids that are covering their eyes.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Casey, Jackson, do you have any reaction to that?
Well, yes. I really appreciate that people have this concern, and just want to say that what we just saw, that is very real, and that is, capitalism and white power. Like, this did not happen when African people were a free, self-governing people in Africa, or when indigenous people all over the world, were living prosperous lives in advanced civilizations and had a very profound natural relationship to the environment and to animals. And that this is a result of capitalism basically starting off with turning African human beings into commodities for sale. And as a result, now the environment itself is a commodity. Under capitalism, everything is a commodity. People's, animals too are turned into products that we can buy. And, they do this to animals because white people have wiped out, tortured, terrorized, and exterminated whole nations of people. And to take it out of that context is really problematic. The system can do that to animals because it's done it to human beings. And if we don't look at it that way, we once again turn this into an issue about white rights and making a nicer capitalism instead of something that will actually change the world. So, the point of this is that we're saying that being vegan alone will not change the world, but what will change the world is a social movement led by the African working class, who are the pedestal upon which the whole system rests. And that is pretty much what I want to say. And also that, there are movies about the clips that we just saw, the debeaking of birds and the cows, those babies are taken from them, and pigs who are, forced to, like, in these traffic jams, and they're slaughtered in the most brutal way. And we also, what the movies, show the animals, but they also show but at the same time invisibilize like a lot of the workers that are on these farms, which are often African and Mexican workers. And because there's no economic development in their communities, they have to take these jobs that don't pay anything, that are extremely traumatizing, and that are very unsanitary. And so, the white people that make these movies completely ignore the oppression of the African and Mexican workers that are also, forced to be involved in this horrible, sick food industry and the meat and dairy industries. So, I just want to repeat that even though I'm vegan, like I don't proselytize it. But I did want to say that I used to be in a vegan movement where I would go around and show people these videos, and I would like go pass out flyers about why people should be vegan. Because any movement I've ever joined, like I go hard, And I'm really glad I'm at the Uhuru movement because now my energies can be channeled into reparations, because that gets at the core of colonialism, which will destroy the whole system that causes these factory farms. Because that kind of stuff that we just saw would not happen under Black power workers economy, where everyone has what they need and where there's sustainability, healthcare, and food for everybody.
For her, I completely unite with KC, and yeah, these the workers, the indigenous and African people who have no other means because their resources have been stolen from them, then take these jobs that are traumatizing and very exploitative, and dangerous, and the different tools that they use that can easily harm them and do hurting their limbs, and not being permitted to take breaks properly, and all these things. This is a part of the same system. And colonialism also has destroyed the natural diets of people around the world. And we see all these quote unquote food deserts in the Black community. We see starvation. They don't even have access to there's and I used to work at a mostly vegetarian cafe in St. Pete Beach, and I would be sent to go get the supplies and everything, and would be sent to the dollar store across the street that had soy milk and different things. But the dollar store, a dollar store in the South Side St. Pete, does not have that. You don't even have access to plant-based milks. And there's nothing but gas stations and very not nutritious things. And we also see this with quinoa and other things. People being having no other economic means than to sell away and not consume their natural diets and the diets that they have had for thousands of years. And what Casey said about a system that steals children away from their families, whether at the imperialist imposed border, or with African people during official slavery, being ripped from their homeland, ripped from their communities, and today with police brutality and mass incarceration, African people stolen from their families in the Black community and forced into these concentration camps called prisons, where they are further exploited with convict leasing is still going on, and all these things. And it's one system that's doing that. And of course, a system that does that to African people, to indigenous people, will do that to a cow and to a pig and to a chicken. Like there is no moral in white power. There is no morality in capitalism. And if we want that, we have to do what KC did and direct our energies to this movement, specifically, reparations to the Black Power blueprint, which is, really building, Black community control over food, clothing, housing, commerce, and is a blueprint for everywhere. That is, how we can really, take down the social system that is grinding up, baby chicks and doing all these horrible things.
Huru, totally unite. And also, we wanted to say that animals are not just passive objects in this system of torture, and that in addition to the torture of animals in factory farms, there's also a huge hunting industry.
Yeah.
And so we, had a clip. Actually, we were looking for different videos of animals elephant, and the elephant starts to stampede them. And so, animals resist to the white colonizer way of attacking them. And we do have a clip. There's a lot of white tourists that go on safaris in Africa. Animals who are in their environment get interrupted by white people doing these really unnatural things. They will fight back. So we have a clip of an elephant stampeding a white safari.
Hang on, hang on. That's good time. Oh shit. Yeah, up behind you, it's tough again, your boys. Watch out, head.
Yes, so I support, Comrade Elephant, Uhuru! the elephant in the room, indeed. So, anti-colonial resistance, yes. Uhuru. Oh, you have your own.
Uhuru. I do want to pause again so I can recognize some more of our donors. Well, actually, I want to announce a really special announcement. So the Black Power Blueprint is now, so this portion of the project that we're in right now has a goal of raising $20,000. And we are now at 75% of that goal. This is a huge milestone. It's really exciting. So again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to donate anytime during the show or even afterwards to help us make this $1,000 goal and the rest of that $20,000 goal. So I do want to continue by sharing a quote from Mark Charles, who is an Indigenous activist. And the quote says, "I intend to teach the history and help our citizenry understand what we're dealing with today stems from the foundation our nation is built upon. For example, climate change and the environment are extremely important issues that need to be addressed. However, when our foundation is exploitation and profit of not only the land but entire groups of people, then our relationship with the environment can't be one of sustenance. That is why we're unable to deal with the current state of the environment properly. If we are going to solve this climate crisis, then we have to look to the wisdom of the indigenous peoples of the land who have been living here sustainably for thousands of years. If we merely enact policies and don't change the paradigm, whatever solutions we come up with will be temporary. We have to understand the stories of this land, because they will give us a deeper connection and sense of stewardship other than only seeing the land for exploitation and profit." So how does this quote connect to what we're talking about?
Yeah, I really appreciate this quote because a lot of vegans become, I've seen white people that become vegan for environmental reasons, and I was looking up some reasons, some environmental statistics from like vegan blogs, and they were saying that like 80% of the Amazon was deforested for livestock. 30% of the land is used for livestock, so that includes plowing, harvesting, pumping irrigation water, producing fertilizers and pesticides, antibiotics, transportation, housing, and slaughter. And 50% of the world's water goes to feed the animals on factory farms, and it takes 13 pounds of grain and 2,400 gallons of water to produce just 1 pound of beef. And animal waste accounts for 60% of nitrous oxide emissions, 60% of ammonia, and 20% of greenhouse gases. And so then at the end of this, though, they say that if everyone in the world just went vegetarian for one day, we could save, X amount of gas, water, crops, and land. And they say that if all the grain in the US was used to feed people instead of livestock who are bred for slaughter, we could feed 800 million people. But, it's not going to change because everyone's going to go vegan and vegetarian. That this is, we said at the beginning that veganism is becoming a $4 billion industry. And, vegan products and soy-based products still involve deforestation of the Amazon, the creation of palm oil plantations. And so capitalism, and capitalism is not promoting veganism right now for our health. It's doing it because they want our money. So it has nothing to do with being progressive or saving the environment. So it's not about a lifestyle choice, and at the same time, so veganism is growing, but climate change is actually getting worse. So where is the correlation? Climate change is not happening just because of the meat industry and all these resources that go into sustaining the factory farm industry, but the core is colonialism and a social system that sucks the blood of humanity and of the environment and turns living beings into commodities for sale. So it has to go beyond a lifestyle choice. And I really appreciate this quote from this Indigenous activist because he is calling for white people. To me, I hear the call for white people to uphold the leadership of African and Indigenous people who, when they were free and had power, we didn't see the land being exploited for profit. That private land ownership was actually not a linguistic concept for Native and African people. It was a uniquely European idea that we enforced on the rest of the world. And so I think that is really important, that it can't just be a lifestyle choice. And that even if there was, all the grain was used to feed people, with the current status quo, do you think it would actually go to every single person? Yeah. Until African people have control of their own food, it would not actually go to them. So I think that's really important, Uhuru.
I want to thoroughly unite again with everything that Casey just said, and to add on to that, 300 species a day go extinct, and that was not the case when Indigenous people had control of this land that is stolen from them and needs to go back into their hands. African people didn't do that. Are not responsible to do for that. And a lot of vegans will talk about, oh, humanity is so horrible. Oh, what human beings have done to the planet. White people have done that.
Yes,
it's not human beings in general here. And us deciding one day to eat a tofu sandwich instead of a burger won't overturn a whole social slavery and rape and genocide, which is inflicted on human beings, on African people, on colonized people, and of course that was to creatures as well and to the environment. And here in St. Petersburg, Florida, literally 1 billion gallons of sewage, first in the Black community in Clam Bayou, and then to Tampa Bay at large, poisoning the drinking water of the Black community and the rest of us, but more severely the Black community. And of course, that is destroying the environment. Red tide, got enormously huge, when that first happened. It is still really bad, killing manatees, people having asthma, dead, seagulls washing up on shore. And that person, Mayor Rick Kreisman, whose administration did this, is celebrated by the Sierra Club for banning straws. Right. In St. Pete, when he just dumped literally 1 billion gallons of sewage. So the Uhuru movement has a plan for this locally and for the world. Immediately with the campaigns of Aretha at Key Lake Canyon and Ann Hirsch for city council here, but also for just African liberation. And me deciding to not use a straw, or to use a reusable water bottle instead of a plastic water bottle, does not overturn that social system, does not hold Kreisman accountable, does not do any of that. It's it's useful, it's probably healthier as long as you clean your water bottle, but it's it doesn't overturn the system. And paying reparations, which is a revolutionary demand to the Black Power blueprint, will change that. Oh, and I want to match Jesse Call, Ron Hudson, and our chair, Jesse Neville, with $25 tonight. Right after this, I will go to blackpowerblueprint.org, and you should too.
Uhuru, thank you, Jackson. I really appreciate what what you said, that there's no people in general here, you know, and also what you just said about Kreisman banning straws and getting appreciated for that. That's such a huge slap in the face. It really is. And so get your marker out again, because we've got a lot of donations to add here. Mara Marin from Louisville pledged $25. Thank you, Mara. Marissa from Portland, $10. Uhuru, Marissa. Casey's dad, Clyde Mackey, pledged $50. Uhuru, Clyde.
That's my dad.
Diane Tournay, $10. Uhuru, Diane. And with Jackson's $25, that puts us at $640 raised and $360 more to go.
A little too. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's really okay.
You get it? Okay. There we go.
And again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to donate tonight. We're trying to raise $1,000 towards the Black Power Blueprint. Self-determination in economic development projects tonight. So, to sort of start to sum up our conversation here, what is white veganism?
Do you want to start?
Sure. White veganism is it's making veganism and the food industry out to be the core contradiction of everything we just talked about, and we know that's not the case. That that is all the conditions that we just mentioned are symptoms of the system of capitalism, but the core contradiction is white power's attack on Africa and other peoples around the world. So, there underlies an assumption that, we white people have the answer and we know what to do about the environment, and, we just have to teach. I saw this one post on that someone I know posted on social media of how can I teach, she was talking about, I believe, poor colonized people in the Philippines to care about animals. And wow,
That's really
that's really condescending.
Yeah.
And, against a people who are, have experienced genocide and are experiencing genocide to this day. And it assumes that we white people have the answer and that we know everything, have to be the white savior, and teach colonized people how to save the planet when, the planet was doing just fine before they were colonized. So African internationalism shows us, what we just talked about, that the core contradiction is colonialism and how we can overturn it by coming under the leadership of the African Revolution and raising reparations. Uhuru.
So the question is, what is white veganism? I used to subscribe to white veganism. I remember when I saw the factory farm videos, I went home and told my roommates, I was like, the whole house has to be vegan now. And, we can't have any non-vegan food in here. And, they were white roommates, but even I was still dictating how they were going to live. And it's this, as white people, we've lived on the pedestal of imperialism for 600 years. And that has an effect on how we relate to other people and to ourselves and to the rest of the world. And often we carry with us this imperialist arrogance that cannot be rooted out through anti-racism classes. The only way you can change the ideas in your head is through practice and doing things in the real world and making mistakes and learning from them. And that happens from being under the leadership of the African working class. And the organized African working class is the African People's Socialist Party. So, a white vegan, I used to proselytize and say that everyone had to go vegan. And it's this very black and white notion of, if you're not vegan, then you are somehow a horrible person that is complicit in the torture of animals, which is caused by an entire social system, not by people's individual lifestyle choices. White veganism has an idealist as opposed to a materialist approach to changing the world. It's about your individual lifestyle choice, which assumes that the system should keep going and could be made better if everyone would just change the way that they lived and, in this one particular way and follow this white-led vegan movement. I just remember I was really disillusioned by the whole animal rights and vegan movement when I went to an animal rights conference in DC, and the main presentation of the whole conference was between these two white people debating about whether it's better to make cages bigger or attempt to abolish cages on factory farms. And they had one workshop like squeezed to the very end of the whole conference where they were talking about the lack of healthy food in African and impoverished neighborhoods. So they had their token African to talk about the work they were doing to bring healthy foods into their own neighborhood. But that was, it was a side note. And that's what happens when white people lead a movement. They have to bring Africans in to legitimize what is actually a white rights movement and not about actually changing the whole social system. So, white veganism says the system will change if people just be more like the good white vegan and change the way that they eat. Whereas what we're saying is that the system will change when oppressed people have control of their own resources, and white people can participate in that process by being under their leadership and paying reparations. Uhuru.
So you said you used to be that white vegan, but what kind of vegan would you say that you are now, Casey?
I would say I'm an African internationalist vegan.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything more about that?
So an African internationalist vegan is a vegan for reparations. It's basically, I am able to be vegan because I have access to social wealth from the legacy of slavery and colonialism. And another thing I want to say, is that when African people were enslaved and forced to work the most brutal conditions on plantations owned by white people, that they would have to eat the scraps of the slave master, and they would not be allowed to eat for the whole day, working in severe conditions in the burning sun, picking cotton and sugar plantations, and then they would be given like scraps of bacon fat that after this whole day of working would have to try to somehow cook and feed their whole family. And so this is the whole history of this country and of white people and of the whole capitalist system. And that, people in Sierra Leone have to look for food. Like Chairwoman Penny was talking about how she actually had the honor of going to Africa with the African People's Socialist Party, where they have units and growing branches. And, the majority of people there have one meal a day. And they have to look and scavenge for food basically because all of it's being stolen, the cocoa, the coffee beans, the grains, all of it's being pumped and into the US for white people to be able to have the lifestyle we live, where we can go out and get a $10 tofu sandwich on our break at work. And so yeah, I would just say like a vegan African internationalist recognizes that the whole social system has to be overturned through organization. It's not enough to be vegan. We're not even saying go vegan. We're saying go reparations. We're saying go organize other white people to stand in solidarity with African Indigenous people struggling for a world where you won't see the conditions that lead people to become vegan in the first place, like the destruction of the environment and the torture of animals and this horrible, sickening imperialist diet that has been imposed on people all over the world. Where you have these just disgusting food basically that's not natural or right, pumped full of chemicals. So that to me is an African internationalist vegan. Do you have anything to add?
Just a little bit. So I completely unite with everything Casey just said, and I don't have too much to add. But like Chairwoman Penny of the African People's Solidarity Committee, Casey mentioned that going vegan, solved her asthma, and we do have a responsibility to take care of ourselves as resources of this movement, because we have to be able to organize in our communities and have the energy to knock on doors and do all these things. So many of us do follow vegan or vegetarian diets for health reasons, but it's to further build this movement for reparations, and to further all we can do to take it down down this parasitic capitalist social system that imposes, disease and illnesses through food and other means against African people and the rest of us as well. And that's how we can truly combat that. So it's putting reparations at the forefront and doing all we can for that is why so many of us are vegan or vegetarian, why there's often vegan or vegetarian options at our events. So I really unite with everything that we just said. And
Uhuru. I want to pause again and thank another one of our donors. Our engineer for the evening, Kyle Weiss, gave $10. Uhuru, Kyle. So we've raised $650 out of our $1,000 goal, which leaves $350 more to go. So again, call, text your family, friends, share the website with them, blackpowerblueprint.org, so that we can make it all the way to the top of that thermometer so that Casey can fill it in all the way up. She's really excited about that. So again, donate, donate, donate. So, Casey and Jackson, do you recommend being vegan?
Well, like I said, I would never proselytize, but there are health benefits. Although you can be vegan and just be extremely unhealthy, like I was. Like you can have fried gluten, and there's I got a vegan cookie earlier. It was delicious. Thanks, Kimu. But yeah, I think that the purpose of it is to restore our relationship to food. That's part of also why I became it, because you see under capitalism, white people, we have very strange social rituals now that are we're very estranged from our relationship to each other and to food. A lot of people are always rushing to in their capitalist jobs, and they're eating in their car while they're driving, and it's not this whereas other cultures, eating is a very sacred ritual where everyone gets together and they bless the food, and it's about the food becoming one with the body physically. It's something that your body absorbs and affects how you live and how and your whole relationship to yourself. So I definitely believe that food is very healing. And there's actually the leader of the Black Community Control of Healthcare Committee of the Black is Back Coalition, Lisa Davis, posted a picture of herself, and she was I'm at the pharmacy, farm FARM. That's how you spell farm. I'm at the pharmacy, yes. And she was in the produce section of the grocery store, basically saying that it was a criticism of this whole American diet that basically causes diseases, has produced diseases that previously did not exist, and cause what is a diabetes issue and things like that, and that food is medicine, as opposed to the American diet that pumps us full of chemicals and genetically modified organisms and animals that have chemicals pumped in them, and then that causes us to have these health problems, and then we have to go to the pharmaceutical companies and buy their pills. So it's all about profit. Yeah. Whereas we can heal ourselves through the food that we eat, and we'll see a world where food is something that is healing once there's Black power and African liberation and Indigenous control of their land and resources. So I basically, if you can, that's awesome, because it's given me more energy, and that I want more energy to be able to organize more white people to a stance of reparations.
True, definitely. And I do want to add as well that, there's, whole, communities of people who are, really health focused, but we live in a capitalist colonial system that has poisoned our water, has poisoned the soil, and the soil does not have as much nutrients as it once did when Indigenous people, African people were in control of their land, and poisoning the air, putting pesticides on even the produce. And so, if we want to actually have a world in which, food can be, even more healing, as it once was. There used to be not such a thing as organic food. It was just food and everything was just naturally organic.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, how much money does, capitalism make from, organic items? And that, all of the, so even if you're eating quote unquote healthy and, spending the extra resources for that are stolen from African people, you do not live in a healthy world, because we live in a capitalist, colonialist, white power world. And to address that, we need to return those resources and pay reparations. In addition to all of these, the even being a junk food vegan, the excess sugar, oil, alcohol, etc. Those of course are poisons. And we do, I personally would recommend, not having that in your diet. And, people are, the term plant-based is really popular, but, as Casey says, so many indigenous cultures, have been that.
Mm-hmm.
And, but, we're forced off that, through being colonized and us imposing things on them. And I know that, a lot of their indigenous healthcare systems that were, primarily food-based have been destroyed, their hospitals destroyed, their libraries destroyed, all of that knowledge about health destroyed through colonialism. And, that is something that all of us white people must take responsibility for. And, for us to destroy their entire healthcare systems that actually worked, and then say, oh, we white people have the answer and this is how you be healthy, just does not make sense. And so we have a responsibility to come under their leadership and fight for, under them for their liberation that will liberate all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just really, really want to unite with that and appreciate you both. And I want to say that I learned a lot from this discussion. So I hope that everyone here in our live studio audience and everyone online also learned a lot as well. And so my last question for you all to wrap it up is, how can people get involved in the Uhuru Solidarity Movement?
Well, if you haven't yet donated to blackpowerblueprint.org, you should definitely do that, because that is, one thing that the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is taking on right now is playing a huge role in the Black Power Blueprint Reparations campaign led by Penny Hess, which is in that committee is directly accountable to Deputy Chair Ona Zanega-Shatella, the coordinator of the Black Power Blueprints. And you can also become a sustainer of all the programs of the Uhuru movement by joining at uhurusolidarity.org/join-USM. And that also, we want people to organize. You can, like, when I first joined the movement, I wanted to do a dance party for reparations. That's part of the Reparations Challenge campaign. You can have an event and the resources can be raised for Uhuru Solidarity Movement to pay, be a part of our $150,000 pledge to the African People's Socialist Party by the end of 2019. And you can join committees. Definitely looking for more people to join the social media committee and the video production committee. And if you're in the Midwest region, you can join that committee. And there's so many different roles that people can play. And there's things that I didn't think that I could do before I met this movement. But the African People's Socialist Party has all these amazing techniques laid out. You can learn how to make a plan of action to build an event. And I've learned how to engineer these web shows. When I'm not speaking, sometimes I'm behind the screen. And there's so many different things that you can learn when you join the revolution and get to be part of the genius of the African working class, but in a principled way, not in a parasitic way where we're stealing their resources for our own gain, but returning them to to this movement of African people struggling to be free, and they will be free. So yeah, we're looking for various different roles. If you want to join the birthday fundraiser committee or the Giving Tuesday committee, those are all really great committees. So just be in touch with us. Put any interest you have in the comments. There's also a tabling campaign happening in August, so you can do a table. We have a great new training video for how to go out and do a table in the white community and talk to other white people about this amazing movement and how you can pay reparations.
True.
And if I may, you can also sell the Burning Spear
Yes.
newspaper in your committee, or in your city rather, and join a committee. There's also a Burning Spear study committee that you can be a part of. Hint. And also in terms of the reparations challenge, you know, what Casey mentioned about doing something that you already are doing or want to do, you know, I attended a reparations challenge a while back by Wendy Craig, actually making homemade vegan laundry soap. And, you know, there's been yoga for reparations and Pilates for reparations, you know, things that so many of us in the vegan community already do that can be put to raising reparations. So buy your Burning Spear newspaper, sign up to sell the Burning Spear newspaper, attend the Burning Spear studies on Saturdays, and let's, you know, distribute African internationalism in our white communities and raise reparations. And go to blackpowerblueprint.org.
Yes, and also August is going to be Black August, so there's a big spear sales competition. So go ahead and go to theburningspear.com and place your order to get as many spears as you can and go out and sell them. And it's really fun to sell the spear. You just go up to white people that are sitting in the park enjoying their tart cider and on the pedestal of colonialism. And you're just like, hey, this is a Black Power newspaper for $1 and to support self-determination to the Black community. Do you want one? And we actually have a video footage of someone buying one.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, there's so many different things you can do. So just be in touch about getting involved.
And a good way to get out and sell those spears in August is to join our tabling campaign. So we're doing a whole bunch of national tabling days in August, the first 3 Saturdays, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. And we've got people confirmed for these outreach days here in St. Pete, in St. Louis, in Louisville, in Philadelphia, in New York, in Oakland, in Seattle. And we've also got members in, you know, Texas and London. And like, we're, you know, USM is everywhere. The movement is everywhere. And so reach out to us at uhurusolidarity.org, or you can find us on Facebook. We want you to join us. And we have, lots of training videos to help get you on board on how to do that. So,
and just, reach out to your friends and family and tell them to go to blackpowerblueprint.org so that we can reach our goal, even if we don't reach it tonight, which we still can, there's still time, but we want to, you know, if white people are looking for something to donate to, this is what they should donate to, blackpowerblueprint.org. So send the link to friends and family, share on your Facebook timeline, on your Twitter, and just continue raising resources to this urgent project so that the vision of the basketball court can be a reality, and all the other things.
And, you know, if you don't feel like you have the resources right now to donate, we do also encourage people to do Facebook fundraisers for Black Power Blueprint. So it's super easy. If you got a birthday coming up, you can do a birthday fundraiser. So instead of asking, you know, for money for yourself, you can ask your friends and family to donate to your birthday fundraiser to Black Power Blueprint. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's a great way to give to the projects. And so, again, I just wanted to really stress the importance of this project, the Black Power Blueprint. It's incredible, and it's a really historical project. There's nothing like it happening in the entire world. And I've just been thinking about the basketball court and how simple it seems to be building a basketball court. Because the project is also, you know, it built a community center, and it's building a garden and a community kitchen and a workforce program. And so, and this basketball court seems like it might be just kind of, you know, it's a basketball court. But it's really important, and it's really powerful. And it's something that the community, that neighborhood right there, really wants. And there's kids out in the streets who play basketball all the time. With, you know, like buckets and whatever, but they're constantly getting pushed out of the streets by the police because, you know, saying that they shouldn't be in the streets. And, you know, and a lot of cars race by there, and so it's dangerous. And so building this basketball court is giving the people in the community, a safe space to actually, play a game, which is a really healthy and fun way to bring people together and to build community. And I really appreciate, your story about how, growing up, you had that basketball court, in your neighborhood, and you saw African children trying to play at it, and then they were pushed out. And, there's so many basketball courts and tennis courts and parks and, all these sort of things in the white communities of St. Louis. But there's none on the north side in the African community. And so the Black Power Blueprint is addressing this, and they're saying, okay, we're going to make ourselves a basketball court. And they're actually doing it. They bought the building and they demolished it, a short amount of time later. And now it's ready to actually be paved over. And, they're going to have teams in the neighborhood to play basketball. And the Black Power Blueprint, you see where the money is going. They lay out their plans in front of you right there, and then they go and they actually do what they say that they're going to do with it. And so, that is why we're here tonight. That's why this project is so important. And that's why we're here trying to raise that $1,000. So again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to donate. Tell your friends and family to donate if you can. And there's still time to fill in the rest of that thermometer there. So I do want to give some more announcements. And we may have a special guest pop in to help me give these announcements. Yes.
I am recognized, I want to recognize how, I want to answer the call to help us meet this goal. So I'm going to do another $10, and I challenge everyone else who can to do so.
Uhuru, Jackson.
Okay, I'll do another 10 as well.
Uhuru, Casey, Santosh.
Another 10?
Okay. Uhuru. So that's another $30. So we are now at $680. $680.
I lost your cap when I dried it out.
Oh no. It's now going to be a rainbow.
Yes.
All right.
$680. So that means we have $320 remaining. So again, blackpowerblueprint.org. Okay, Uhuru. All right, let's squeeze in here.
Here, I'll share. You want to share this? Okay.
There we go. Okay. And now, our surprise guest, Jesse Neville.
All right, well, let's give another round of applause for this amazing show tonight and these great speakers. And I just want to salute. This was a really, really great discussion. I also learned a lot, and I'm proud to say that as of July 1st, I am a vegan for reparations.
Yes! Woo! Hurrah!
And I also want to salute the most inspirational vegans on the planet, Chairman Amalia Shatella. And also Chairwoman Penny Hess.
Woo! Yes!
And I also want to give a shout out to Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshatella and the Black Power Blueprint. So I want to talk about an announcement real quick. First, I just wanted to, again, really appreciate this discussion and this topic, and salute everybody who's watching and people from Louisville and everywhere else that's watching. And what I basically took away from this whole discussion is that veganism is a great diet, but it's not a good politic.
Right.
Yes.
And I really agree with that. And it's a great diet. You should do it. We're not proselytizing here, but it's a good idea. But it's not your politic. And I think it was broken down so perfectly. I just wanted to tell a quick story that in my time organizing, I met a guy once, a white guy, and I almost got into a fight with this guy because he was a vegan activist kind of guy. And he was trying to tell me that he thought the Uhuru movement should require all of its members to be vegan. Otherwise, it was promoting like another kind of oppression, basically. That it was like seeking liberation for humans on the pedestal of the colonization of the animal nations. This is actually a thing someone said to me once. And basically, you know, just thinking about, I mean, yeah, the Uhuru movement does actually encourage, I mean, the chairman leads by example. So he's a vegan. He does encourage people in the movement not to eat nasty meat, you know?
Right.
But on the other hand, you know, this is a movement of enslaved, colonized African people fighting for their liberation. And I think for, you know, like an African woman fighting for justice for her murdered children, perhaps the well-being of chickens is not at the top of her list of priorities. However, ironically, the well-being of chickens can only be guaranteed in her victory, in that African woman's victory, and in justice for her children, and in the victory of the African working class. So, and I think that was explained perfectly in this event tonight. So what I want to talk to you about is another way you can get involved. And, you know, the Uhuru movement and the strategy of Chairman Omali Yeshitela is absolutely brilliant, because his goal has always been take up all political space, whether it's, you know, the Black Power Blueprint in St. Louis, or anything else that the movement is doing in Africa or anywhere else around the world, or the electoral arena right here in St. Petersburg. So these comrades from St. Louis, they're here in St. Petersburg to participate in an amazing electoral campaign that the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is deeply involved in. This is one of the things that we're doing right now here in St. Petersburg. This is an electoral campaign that is led by the party, and they are running for office here in St. Petersburg. Eritha Akile Kenyon, who's the director of agitation and propaganda for the African People's Socialist Party, for District 7 City Council. Akile is a famous representative of the movement and fighter for reparations to African people. She was in Ebony magazine in 2017 when she ran the first time. She was, you know, sparked basically this national conversation that's happening today about reparations. It came from this movement. And running alongside her is Ann Hirsch. And I really want to salute Ann. She's a longtime member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement here in St. Petersburg. She's running for District 5 City Council. They're running on a platform. Akile's platform is called Make the South Side Black Again. And Ann's platform is called Unity Through Reparations. And this is something, it's sweeping the city of St. Petersburg. We were out this morning, you know, whether it's rain or shine, literally, we are out there doing our best to get these newspapers out every single morning. This is a powerful, incredible campaign that it's more than just a campaign. As the chairman says, it's a social movement. It's a movement of the people rooted in the leadership of the African working class, and also joined by many, many white people who see our own future, our own interests, our own ability to live a secure life. It's not going to come at the expense of the Black community any longer. It's only going to be possible in solidarity with the Black community. They're the ones who have been fighting forever and ever to make this a city of real justice and reparations and peace for all people, no one at the expense of anybody else. So I want to make a call. This, by the way, I'm holding this up because this is the South Side Speaks. So you see the nasty white ruling class media, they have not been giving any coverage to our campaigns. And the chairman basically said, you know, we're not going to complain about the Tampa Bay Times not giving coverage to the voice of the South Side, because the South Side is going to speak for itself. And that's why, Uhuru.
Yes.
That's why the campaign published this newspaper. It's amazing, it's very beautiful, very colorful. Look at that. Okay, you can see all the volunteers on the back. And this is being distributed all throughout the city, 20,000 copies. So if you're in St. Petersburg, don't forget to vote. If you're in District 5, Ann Hirsch's name is at the bottom of the ballot. They're in alphabetical order. And if you're in District 7, Akile's name is at the top of the ballot. So be sure to vote for Akile in District 7 and Ann in District 5. And if you can vote by mail, go ahead and get your ballots in. You'll be receiving them this upcoming weekend. And no matter where you're located, be like these comrades. Come to St. Pete, put some boots on the ground. We need reinforcements. We're in the final month as we push towards the election on August 27th. So come join this amazing campaign and go online, contribute, donate, volunteer, get involved, and let's be part of making the South Side Black again and uniting St. Petersburg through reparations to African people. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Donate for those campaigns.
Thank you, Jackson. You can go to voteakile.com and votehirsch.com. That's voteakile.com. hirsch.com, vote Hirsch, HIRSCH.com, and go to their Facebook pages, Ann Hirsch for District 5 City Council, and go to Aretha Akile Canyon for District 7 City Council and share this video that is going viral right now of Akile just absolutely kicking the ass of this clueless white reporter from Channel 8 that came up to her and questioned her about this total non-issue that the media is trying to basically slander the Black community and portray the Black community as being anti-LGBTQ. And Akile just took it away from them and brought it back to the real elephant in the room. Shout out to that elephant from that video earlier, by the way. That was awesome. Salute. But the real elephant in the room is the oppression of the Black community. So check out that video. And as far as this fundraiser tonight, where are we at with the goal?
705.
705. What an interesting number.
Ron Hudson said that he would donate another $25. Uhuru, Ron.
705.
Seattle.
Well, I'm going to turn it back over to the comrades, but before I do that, I am going to put in $49 additional towards the campaign. And I know, so what does that bring us to? 754. And I know that weird number is going to make somebody uncomfortable enough to grab your card, punch in your numbers, and contribute to get us to this goal. Let's get to $1,000. That's a nice 4-digit number.
Yeah,
Let's get to
754
$1,000.
is a terrible number.
Awful
so
number,
thank
awful
you
number.
for that,
Uhuru.
Jesse.
I should do the African colors.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Turn it back over to
Okay.
you.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, so I am here, and Casey and our comrade Ben, we are all here visiting from St. Louis for the week to volunteer with the campaigns, and it's been absolutely incredible.
Can we bring up Ben in the Ann Hirsch t-shirt?
Oh, you come model the
Alright,
Ben.
shirt, Ben. So you will want to be a part of this campaign once you see the shirt, absolutely. And you can be a part of this campaign from wherever you are in the world.
There you are.
Can you see it?
You need through reparations. You need through
Reparations. Yeah,
the South
so
Side.
Black again. You can do phone banking, you can donate, you can share what's happening with the campaign from the Facebook pages, because we really need as many people as possible to know about this and to donate. And, there's thousands of people that we need to reach. And we've been here going door to door, dropping the newspaper, doing outreach, phone banking, sitting in the daily campaign meetings. We also went to a debate on Tuesday night with the other candidates, and it was very clear to probably everyone in the room that there are only two real candidates, and those two are Akile and Ann. So we really want you to keep tuning in and watching those campaigns and participate.
They're also on Twitter and Instagram at Vote Hirsch and Vote Akile as well. And I want to salute Santosh, who is out at 5 a.m. with me at the Starbucks downtown, handing out Southside Speaks. Got lots of positive responses.
Uhuru Jackson.
Wow.
So I do also want to invite everyone who is in the St. Pete area to a vegan ice cream social tomorrow night.
A vegan
It's
for
at-
reparations ice cream social.
It's at Love Food Central at 5:30 p.m. So everyone is invited. Come meet the candidates. Come meet us. And eat very delicious vegan ice cream. And again, support those campaigns. Another super exciting, do you want to?
Yeah.
Wait.
So throughout this, I've been in the live audience. I've been texting my brother, who is a vegan, and I've been trying to. So Jeff is also a member, and so Jeff is going to match me and donate $5, and I'm putting in $5 more. So, so Jeff Rosenzweig, $5.
So that means we have raised
759
plus your 5.
plus my 5, right?
Plus
Whoa.
Mara Marin again from Louisville contributed another $11. Mara, thank you. So I believe that brings us to $770.
Wow.
We are inching our way closer and closer and closer. So I'm going to keep giving these announcements, and you all should keep going to blackpowerblueprint.org to keep contributing. And so the Black is Back Coalition is having their so at the Uhuru House in St. Louis, a day after the 5th anniversary of the murder of Mike Brown and the ensuing Ferguson uprising and rebellion, the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations is hosting its 10th anniversary organizing conference to advance their 19-point platform for Black self-determination. So check it out. It is August 10th and 11th in St. Louis, Missouri. We want you there. I'm going to be there. I'm super excited about it. And so Uhuru...
Sorry, I kind of want to announce this now. Now that it really kind of is. I mean, putting me behind a microphone is a bad idea. But anyway, so Amanda Carlozzi will be doing $25 extra.
She didn't donate yet.
Oh, okay, never mind. So, all right, so we've raised. So now we are at a solid $800.
And I just want to say, I just texted you inspired me to text my brother. So I said, Uhuru, bro, can you donate $10 to blackpowerblueprint.org to help meet my fundraising goal tonight? And he said, sure, send me a link. So I did, and he's going to donate. That's all you got to do. So we're at 810.
There we bring my contribution up to a total of 75 by putting in another $1.
Oh my God. So for those of you who couldn't hear, Jesse's going to put in another $1. So that totals his contribution
now we're
to $75. Is that 811 then?
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
So we're at $811. That is another ugly number. Thanks, Jesse.
I'm going to bring what is currently my donation of 35 up to 50.
Right.
So
Jackson.
Match me and put in 50.
Marissa Ricchetti, I'm sorry if I didn't say that right, from Portland is doing another $15. Marissa.
All right, I'm inspired to up mine to a total of 25. So that's 15 more.
So I'm waiting on a refreshed number.
841.
Our treasurer, Amanda Carlozzi, is back there texting me furiously. So we have currently raised $856. Woo! And we have 159 remaining. This is nothing, y'all. This is nothing.
That doesn't make sense.
What? $144. Okay. $3!
Salute the studio audience, by the way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the online audience.
Yes, absolutely.
All of you.
Well, I think I'm the only one who hasn't upped my contribution, so I'm going to do another $10. What else can we
Reparations exhilarating.
announce?
It is. Catch the reparations bug.
Reparations bug.
Minneapolis puts another 100 in.
A big salute to Dan and Lisa and Rosie and Eli.
Yes, another $100 from their beautiful family who's in our live studio audience.
Who is volunteering for
campaign volunteers, yes. And so I don't know where we're at now. I'm waiting on another total. Oh my God! Look how close we are.
So
close.
It's gonna break.
Oh my god.
Is this the most current one?
31 remaining. Sorry.
31
everyone.
dollars.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So,
Do you
So
mean?
we're doing $1 more, so we have 30 remaining. Only $30 left to go.
can't let that happen.
No.
Kyle, another
We have
10.
$20 left to go. That is, easily, dinner. Like,
Clyde Mackey with another 25.
we have exceeded. So we are at $1,005.
Overflowing.
So
Yes.
Oh my
All right.
Yes. Vegan
Victory.
reparations.
We are winning.
It's just
African
exploding.
people will be free. And
Woohoo!
Uhuru.
Yes. $1,005, y'all. We just did that.
Yes.
All right, Uhuru. A huge Uhuru salute to all of my comrades here, to Casey, to Jackson. Thank you both so much for being on this
Thank you for
interview.
having us.
Our surprise guests, Ben and Jesse, Uhuru. Kyle, again, thank you so much for everything that you do. Santosh, Dan, your whole family. Amanda, thank you so much. Everyone who tuned in, everyone who donated, thank you. Tune in to our next web shows. So we do want to remind everyone that they can continue to donate and to also, go to blackpowerblueprint.org to submit those pledges that you stated that you would submit tonight, so that we can have those in, and it goes straight to the Black Power Blueprint. And the work is happening right now on these projects. So, we also want to say, come out to the Uhuru House here or in St. Louis anytime. We want you to be involved. We want you to see these projects. So with that, I think we're going to close tonight with our favorite chant of unity through reparations. Make the South Side black again. The time is now. Uhuru.
Chile.
This is